What's up, people? I'm getting ready to open a fresh new bag of clay. This is how the 609 Miller clay arrives, well, mostly every clay, in a 25-pound block. You have to order 2 blocks, so in total I have 50 pounds. I have 2 bags. I took it out of the way because I need to just bang it onto the floor for a second, make it a little flatter so that I can work. All right. So I'm going to take the wire tool and slice off a few slabs, and then we're going to get right into freestyle sculpting on this companion piece to the Wise One. And that's what I have named, at least for now. Sometimes I'll say a name and then it doesn't appeal to me a little bit later. But for right now, we are calling the piece that you've seen in the previous videos the Wise One. So this is going to be a companion piece for that, which I normally, well, I was about to say I normally don't plan, but truth be told, I didn't plan this one either, because the Wise One is a recreation of an older air-dried piece that I did that had broken in a couple of places, and I had absolutely no desire to try to repair it because air-dried clay is just temperamental like that. It's, doesn't make sense. You might as well go ahead and put it through the kiln, glaze it, put it through the vitrification process when you glaze, and come out with a solid piece that you can trust and handle and know that it's not going to break just because you looked at it too long, So, using the wire tool just to slice through. And I think I'm just going to cut off 2 slabs of clay for right now. That should be enough to get me through a solid video before I have to charge the phone. So this is where we are. I'm feeling like I'm going to need 3 though. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it. If I've misjudged, no biggie. It's just going to go back into the bag and it'll be used when it's used. So here we are with the 3rd slab, pulling the wire tool straight through, putting it off to the side, dropping that slab on top of the other one. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to put this piece back. You know what? I'll leave it out. Like I said, I've got a lot of sculpting ahead of me on this piece. So just closing the bag. Try to make the seal as airtight as you can because you don't want your clay to dry out. So there. I'm putting that off to the side where I can't bother it and it can't bother me. You see the table's been cleaned off. My hands already a mess just from that little bit of handling. I'm just going to spray them down. I always keep this towel right beside me, and the towel is used for a couple of purposes. The towel is used to provide a cushion when I need to lay a piece on it and hollow out or do any definition, and I don't want it resting on a hard surface because the way the piece is formed, placing it on a hard surface could result in damage, something getting broken off. And I also use the same towel for the in-betweens, just to wipe my hands off a little, not start off as unsightly. No reason for doing this. It's really an absolute waste of time because I have so much sculpting to do that I'm just going to mess my hands up all over again in a matter of seconds. But I don't know, it's aesthetically and psychologically, for me, it does a little something. It's like starting off with a clean surface. You feel more motivated. You ever try to work in your office, in your home office, or at a corporation, and your desk is torn up, and you just find it hard to get your mind together because you don't know where to start because there's so much clutter and junk that every task seems like a daunting one. So that's what I'm trying to avoid a little bit here. So cleaned off my area some. I think it's going to be necessary to put this on the table and off of the platform. I'm rocking it back and forth a little and I'm pushing downward while I'm rocking back and forth. And that's only because I'm trying to create a nice solid underneath for balance. And I think that's it right there. Yesterday, you might have noticed I was banging on this table. I was banging on a slab of clay. And it was just, I sometimes fascinate myself at how I do not learn from certain mistakes. Because it was only after I had done all of that banging that I remembered, I've got 3 Sisters, 1 Fro, the 2nd installment drying over here. Now this is an L-shaped table, so this part is connected to the part that 3 Sisters, 1 Fro is sitting on. And like a wingnut, I start banging this, and I'm terrified. All right, so I peeked. Luckily, I didn't disturb it. So just to let you know why I say I don't learn from my mistakes is because I had another piece one time, totally different piece, and I started pounding clay onto the table to work it out, and the piece was sitting on this portion of the desk. Not too much difference from it sitting on the other side because, like I said, it is connected, but the further away it gets, the more of the shock that's absorbed. You feel me? So by me sitting up banging right here with the piece right here, I was chipping it, cracking it, knocking pieces off, and then I turned around and did the same thing, and I was terrified that it had resulted in this breaking up. 3 Sisters, 1 Fro, 2nd installment. But thankfully for me, it did not. I cannot even begin to express to you how happy I am about that. So let's get right into it. Like I said, this piece, although I know what it's going to become in my mind's eye, I didn't sketch anything out. I don't normally. And I'm just going to sort of try to judge where I want everything to be. So I'm making a slice right here because I'm thinking that this is the area where I'm going to want the chin to end. So now I'm going to cut a slice out of here just to start to give it a little bit of that definition. And it's not going to look like much of anything to you, but I'm viewing it from the side for a reason. Because once I establish what that profile is going to look like, I'll be able to move in to the forward-facing features. But we're going to go ahead and get this out of the way for right now. Sloppy work. I'm not trying to finesse, because all that's going to come into its own in time. What I am going to do is trace something out. And this is akin to drawing on paper with a pencil. So I'm drawing a profile. This is the chin area. And what I'm scraping out a bit is the neck. And I'm going to build up from there a little bit, going to the mouth, chin, and forehead area. So again, this is just my way of getting a feel for how I'm going to start establishing the profile of this piece so that once I move into the front view, I'll be very solid with it. All right, I think I'm good. So now I'm going to start doing a little bit more carving. That's pretty much going to be the equivalent on both sides. This part is going to have to be built up more. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my fork tool, scrape a little of the gunk off of it, because that's what it looks like right now, and create some deep grooves for the slip to go into. And I'm pressing down pretty firmly because I want there to be a lot of texture. I want those grooves to be, that slip to slide into the grooves very easily. There's pretty much a specific shape that I want for this. So because the top part, fresh out of the bag of clay, looks like that. It's not a nice clean slab. I think that this is exactly what I want to work with. And I'm just measuring with my finger to see about how wide I need to cut it. Cutting it a little wider than I think I need to, because why not err on the side of caution? I'd rather smooth down into place than have to keep adding slip and attaching pieces. Right now, I'm hitting the pieces of clay that are off to the side because this is an air-conditioned environment with some water so that they'll stay moist and workable. So now I'm going to take this piece, firmly dig in grooves by cross-hatching, going in one direction, then another. That's what I've created. And now I'm going to take a tool and apply a generous amount of slip to this. I spread it very lightly. And again, the application, when it comes to this much slip, is akin to icing a cake. So I put a good amount of slip on. And now I'm going to be ready to press, attach, affix, shape, and mold it to this piece, which has already had the texture added to it. And this is where I need like more forehead on her. And I'm still probably going to have to add another piece where I'm going to want to create hair. So I'm just taking and firmly pressing down from the top, mashing it in, letting that slip slide out. I'm wiggling a little bit, forcing that slip to go into the grooves on the top and the bottom. This is my slip bowl. And I'm just taking and cleaning this off because it's messy right now, this tool is. I get so distracted so easily by the dumbest things. I hate when the slip is all dried up, all the way up to the rim of the bowl. So right now I'm just taking the tool and getting that cleaned up a little, because it bothers me. Even though I'm going to mess it up again in a matter of a few seconds, sometimes you just want to see your area tightened up a little bit, even though you know you're going to mess it up. And you know, I think it's like when you're cooking. Don't y'all clean as you cook? You know what I'm saying? Like, you make one thing or two things on the stove, but they're done, so now you move them out of the way and then you wipe the stove down. Or you're wiping the counter down as you go along, and you're cleaning out the sink, and you're washing the dishes as you go along, so that by the time it's all said and done, you can just go ahead and enjoy your meal. Well, it's sort of the same thing here. I just want to get it a little more pleasing so that I don't feel like I'm working in a mess. I'm taking and pushing again, and I'm trying to distribute my weight evenly so that I'm not pushing too far down on this side or too far down on this side. I'm trying to center it, which is serving two purposes. Again, joining these two pieces together, allowing the slip to really connect with the top addition and the bottom foundation, and also making this area, the very bottom, hopefully flattening that just a little bit more so that once it's over with, it's not going to be wobbly. We'll see. So I'm going to take and go ahead and scrape this excess slip away and drop it onto the bowl, because it does not need to be that much off on the sides, you know? So just like I told you, I just cleaned off the side of the bowl. Look what I've done. So that's going to annoy me, so I got to do it again. But it's what makes me happy. If you can let it build up to this point and you're not aggravated, then do you. Do you. There is nobody to say that you can't. I just have to see this from time to time. And I don't know, maybe it's a stalling technique too. Maybe it gives me a little time to think about what I'm doing. I can't call it. So, because this part goes in a little bit more, I'm going to start working the clay upward first to join them. While keeping my hand pressed down on the center, I'm just going to start working this up, working the clay up, and also down and across. It's sort of hard to describe why you don't necessarily have to move in a formulaic way, but you'll know as you start working more and more in sculpture, you'll have an intuition about certain ways you need to move to achieve the desired effect and to make sure things are as solid as you want them to be. And a lot of that involves just going in different directions to really fortify a hold or a seal, and it's all good. I'm wiping this on the side of the table. And if you remember from the last video, all of that comes in handy when you see little areas that are dented in and you want to fill that out and build it up. All right. So I'm turning this to the side, and I want a bigger tool. Moving on to this, the scraper tool. I'm going to go in with the curved edge first because this is so misaligned and lopsided that it doesn't make a difference. I'm not trying to make anything level. I'm just trying to smash it in, join it, and blend it. So the curved part will work. That's fine. But once I've blended it, that curved side will create indentations that I don't want from the pressure. So I'll switch back over to the straight side and make sure that I keep my slab pretty much a rectangular block shape. So now I'm going in with the straight edge. I'm pulling on the diagonal this time. And I'm still pressing down while I'm pulling on this diagonal. And I'm really just trying to make sure that this hold between this piece that I added and this foundation that was there is going to be nice and solid. Just cleaning this off. Scraping it along the side of my table And I'm picking this right back up to add into this area because I felt like there was some give right there. Again, sometimes it's so hard for me to articulate what I'm feeling just because it's my hands that are feeling it, and then I'm trying to turn around and describe it to you. But like I said, you'll feel when there are vulnerable parts. You'll start to know just how to listen to your own intuition. If you need to feel you need to do something or add more clay, it's just never a mistake because you can always take away from it. But once this clay starts drying on the outside and you're trying to add stuff to it, it becomes a little more challenging. So we want to try to do the bulk of the work while all of the clay is at the same moisture level. Now I'm turning it around to the back. This is the only side that I have not worked to join yet, and I'll take care of that right now. This, you see, this is a ledge right here. So I'm going to work that ledge up into here, and I want it to be more textured, so I'm going to dig the fork in, going in different directions, creating some deep grooves. Scraping the fork off on the side of the table, you know how we do. And now I'm going to press that in and wiggle up. In and wiggle up. Slip is coming out of the sides, and I can see it moving into the grooves, almost like watching a train going along the tracks. And I'm just going to continue that and bring it up here and just smooth it out right there. I'm moving up first, and then I'm going to move in a different direction right after I scrape the scraper. That's what's on the edge of my table right now, what I just showed you. Now, I'm roughly patting the clay a different way, and now I'm coming across a different way. Then I'll go back up. I just want to make sure that that seam, that opening, is fully covered. It seems that it is, but as a precaution, because like I said, always err on the side of caution. Is that the phrase? I don't know. It came mad natural, so I must have read it somewhere. It's err on the side of caution. I don't know, I have to figure that out when I can get to Google. I'll confirm if that was the right usage. So I'm just patting some more very moist clay into that area, building it up so that that separate piece, once it dries, I don't want it to have clay memory that two things were joined together here. I want it to dry in an operation that is like it was always together. You and me us never part, Matthew Dada on that, like that. Okay? So I'm scraping the tool off on the side. That's happening off camera. And I've been much more talkative in these last few videos without any breaks of I Hush Now, because I told you I've decided that I'm going to do quick cute for TikTok and IG. Mostly I'll usually edit out my talking and then go ahead and put the full video with all of the instructions, recommendations, mistakes, and narratives on YouTube, just on YouTube. So this way, you don't get bored with me on the apps where attention span is not necessarily the thing. You want to see something quick and cute. You're not trying to learn anything. You're not necessarily trying to be inspired. You just want to see something visual that's going to make you go, okay, that was pretty dope. I enjoyed that. So that's what I'll be giving you on TikTok and Instagram. And then for YouTube, that's where you will consider it tutorials. Feel me? All right, so now I'm seeing what that face looks like. And I'm trying to decide about how I'm going to gouge out this head area. And I think I already know that I'm going to have a lot of weight on this top part, and probably it's going to go a little bit thicker towards the back. So I want to plan ahead to make sure that it has something that it can stand on that won't allow it to rock back or be really uneven. And I think stopping it right about where I've drawn out that line is good. Now, I need to refer to the original right quick so I can think. So there he is. There he is. All right, that's lopsided. Bear with me, guys. Working it out, working it out. It needs more fortification right in here. That's going to tip over. So I'm just going to take and generously pack that clay in right in this area until it props up and I can feel that it's steadier. So I'm just keep pushing forward, then I'll smooth down and up. And this might be temporary because once it starts to dry, I can probably go in and slice and make it more narrow. But for now, I don't trust it and I need it to be able to hold up on its own while I work. So it's up to me to make that happen. Once again, try not to get too frustrated with me. If you are of the opinion that I do a lot of unnecessary steps, I am 1000% sure that you are absolutely right. I am 1010% sure that it doesn't make a difference to me at this juncture. I'm not in a rush. This is not a commissioned piece that is due to someone by a certain time. I'm just enjoying the feel and the process. And for me right now, it's not about the speediest way to get things done. I'm sure at some point it will be, you know, as my creative life becomes busier, as my sculptures are acquired and I'm able to make room to create even more, I'm sure that my impatience will kick in and I'll start thinking about ways that I need to cut back on my production time. But for right now, this is me leisurely enjoying the journey. This is me sniffing the roses as I walk along the pathway, looking at the plants, enjoying watching the squirrels run back and forth. This is me at peace. And you know what I found out about peace? There is no rush to it. You lounge in peace. You breathe slowly and steadily when you're at peace. You walk with a very carefree gait when you're at peace. And nothing's a rush. Things happen when they happen, the way they happen, in the way that makes you satisfied. This is calming for me. Manipulating the clay, figuring out what I'm going to do as I go along. Ain't no rush. We'll save that for when it's unavoidable. But for right now, oh, it's very much avoidable. Very much. I'm going to be taking a break shortly, so I'm just piling these stacks of clay up, and I'm going to grab a plastic bag to cover them with. Got these a little too far away. I have to scooch them in. All right, the time on this video is exactly 40 minutes. And I may have to charge my phone before I can come back and get some more sculpting in. We'll see, because I have to take a phone call from my cousin that was coming in that I just had to ignore because I was doing the video. I'm going to call her right back. And if I still have enough charge left, then I will join you again. Peace.